This is where two worlds collide. The desert above, scorched by the sun, and the ocean below, alive with secrets. Welcome to the Gulf of California, a sea of giants, predators, and breathtaking beauty. Here, currents carry histories older than cities, and the water hides creatures beyond imagination. The Gulf of California has not always existed. Once, this was solid land locked to mainland Mexico. But around 12 million years ago, the Earth began to split apart. Tectonic plates shifted, a crack opened, raw and fiery. That fracture pushed the peninsula northwest, and in the spade it left behind, the sea poured in. A young sea was born, still shaping itself today. Beneath, there are volcanoes, deep vents and faults that rumble like the reefs of the earth. That violent birth gave the Gulf its restless spirit. In this scar between continents, life exploded. Pacific waters mixed with nutrient-rich currents rising from the deep. Steep underwater cliffs, volcanic islands, and rich estuaries collide with the desert coast. Here, the land and sea don't meet gently, they crash together. The result is one of the richest seas on the planet. Hundreds of species of fish, dozens of marine mammals, sea turtles, sharks of every size, giant schools of fish, manta rays, dolphins, sea lions, and whales that travels across the ocean to give birth here, in this sanctuary, this cradle of life. They call it the world's aquarium, but that doesn't do it justice. It's not an aquarium, it is a temple, a stage where wind, salt, and fire still write the rules. The Gulf Coast is steep and wild. Just a few steps from the shore, the seafloor drops into a vertical abyss of light and shadow. Currents, islands, migrations, all combine to make this sea a living laboratory, a place where evolution doesn't hide, it performs. The Gulf of California is more than beautiful, it's alive, fierce, explosive. Some call it the world's aquarium, but a better metaphor is wilder, truer, the underwater Serengeti. Like Africa's plains, where millions of herbivores migrate among predators, life here never stops, and it all begins with something almost invisible: plankton. When cold Pacific currents meet the Gulf's unique shape, a vital event occurs: upwelling. Deep, nutrient-rich waters rises to the surface like the earth itself is exhaling. Under the desert sun, plankton blooms. Where there is plankton, there are sardines, millions of sardines. The sardines feed the next level: jacks, dorados, snappers, tunas, and above them the hunters, marlins, bull sharks, orcas. In the sky, pelicans and frigate birds wait their turn. Each plate is raw, each follows its own dance. Plankton also feeds the giants directly, manta rays gliding like creatures from another world, mobulas leaping by the thousands as if celebrating life, and the queens of the sea, whales, blue, humpback, gray, all arriving on ancient routes to feed, give birth, and survive. This hot crack in the earth is one of the few places where the food chain is crystal clear. No dead times, no truces. The Gulf of California boils with life, and every creature, from nudibranch to sperm whale, has its place. This sea never sleeps, it creates life every second. The Gulf is more than a sea between two lands. It is an archipelago, a necklace of islands rising from the water like notes of an ancient song, sculpted by fire and time. Some are untouched, some are family refugees, some seem empty, but they are full of histories. Today, we explore the most iconic islands of southern Baja California Sur. We start with the crown jewel, Espiritu Santo. Just 25 kilometers from La Paz, it is a sanctuary of volcanic rock and turquoise waters. But Espiritu Santo is more than geology. It is a temple of life, home to one of the world's most accessible sea lion colonies at Los Islotes. Each bay tells a history, each reef reveals a miracle. Just north, across the San Jose Channel, lies San Jose Island, larger, drier, more desert-like. Human history is part of it. Fishing, goat grazing, and salt exploitation. Further north lies San Diego Island, small, austere, minimalist, a desert dune forgotten by time. Here, the sea feels older, more primitive. Among these rocks sits El Pardito, tiny, almost insignificant, if not for its history. For over a century, one family has lived here, fishing with quiet dignity. No fresh water, no trees, no shade. A life close to the pulse of the sea. El Pardito might be the most human of the Gulf Islands. San Francisco Island is hand-drawn. Perfect half moon glows between coast and the endless blue. White sands, turquoise waters, and reddish hills reveal the pure meeting of desert and ocean. From its summit, the Gulf unfolds, a natural amphitheater of wildlife, shifting with tide and wind. Words are not enough here. Far to the south lies a forgotten giant, Cerralbo Island. Officially, Jacques Cousteau thought locals rarely used that name, if not none at all. Elongated, mountainous, wrapped in cliffs and currents, it guards the Gulf, separating the open ocean from the coast. From La Ventana and El Sargento, it rises like a blue promise. From the sea, it is a different world. Vertical walls, deep canyons, reef teeming with life. Cerralbo draws great encounters, cetaceans, mantas, mobulas. Colliding currents bring nutrients, making it a hot spot of marine biodiversity. All these islands are more than geography. They are pillars of a living civilization. Unique species call them home. Evolution experiments here. Secrets of stone, salt, and wind endure. The Gulf of California is a constellation of islands. Each has a history, a breath, a soul. Together, woven by life, they form one of the most powerful and beautiful marine systems on Earth. North of the Espiritu Santo archipelago, the desert leans over the sea. A handful of rocks rise from the turquoise waters like the ruins of an ancient temple. Those are Los Islotes, At first glance, they seem like simple boulders, battered by wind and salt, but here nature performs a miracle of precision and beauty. Los Islotes is one of the best places in the world to watch sea lions in the wild, not in cages, not in shows, just as they are, intense, agile, noisy, and deeply intelligent, living on the edge between land and sea. This is home to one of the healthiest colonies of California sea lions, a species native from Alaska to the Galapagos. Here, in this crack between volcanic islands and plankton-rich waters, the spectacle reaches its peak. The colony can exceed 400 individuals in season. Unlike other populations, these sea lions are unusually curious and tolerant of humans. You dive among them and they don't flee. They circle you, inspect you, play with you. Puppies of the sea, with the strength and speed of elite hunters. In the depths of the Gulf of California lives a creature both immense and discreet. It doesn't breach like the humpback, nor approach boats like the gray whale, but is here, silent, powerful, resident. The fin whale, the second largest creature to ever exist on Earth. Its size is staggering, up to 25 meters, 80 tons. But what makes it extraordinary is not its size, it is its choice to stay here. Unlike its open ocean cousins, this population does not migrate. It doesn't cross hemispheres. It does not follow the season. It lives here year-round, hidden among volcanic islands and marine canyons. Unique, genetically isolated, culturally adapted, irreplaceable. The Gulf is not a passage for it, it is home. Every day, it filters tons of water, feeding on planktons that drift like life itself. And in this sea, nothing is scarce. Cold currents bring nutrients, plankton blooms, the food chains activate, and there they are, the sentinels of balance, turning the invisible into existence. Seeing a fin whale is rare. They are discreet, almost ethereal. They swim in straight lines without leap or displace. But when they exhale, their blow rises straight and powerful, a signal from the ancient world, a reminder that greatness does not always shout, it just breathes. Why this population stay? Perhaps the food, perhaps the temperature, perhaps the isolation, perhaps the Gulf itself, a deep enclosed sea with countless corners to hide, raise young, and exist undisturbed. What is certain is that this population is unlike any other. Only a few hundred live here. Genetic diversity is low. When a species bed everything in one place, all its survival depends in that indeed. Some days the sea shakes as if it were breathing faster. A murmur crosses the surface, and suddenly, without warning, an explosion of wings rises from the water. Thousands of mobulas leap, breaking the horizon, as if the ocean could not hold so much life. It is not a show, not a miracle. It is the Gulf of California simply being itself. Locally, they are called tortillas, sometimes devil mantas for their silhouette. Part of the ray family, they resemble giant mantas but are smaller, faster, and more social. Wingspans reach up to 1.5 meters. Skulls can number over 10,000. 10,000 creatures flying underwater perfectly in rhythm. Every year, Between spring and summer, the Gulf becomes the only stage in the world for this spectacle at such a scale. Their behavior is as spectacular as it is mysterious. They leap again and again. Some spin in the air, some fall on their backs, others on their bellies. The sound of the water streaking wings echoes like applause. Why do they do it? Scientists debate. Communication, play, parasite removal, courtship. But watching them, you sense something older, an ancient dance code on their blood. Mobulas have no venomous sting. They are filter feeders, eating plankton and small creatures like whales and mantas. They swim with mouth open, gliding through the water like birds through air, fluid, elegant, and powerful. This spectacle happens for a reason. The Gulf is a biological engine. Upwellings bring nutrients from the deeps, plankton blooms, mobulas feed. The balance is delicate, ancient, precise. Something colossal moves beneath the surface. No sound, no foam, only a vast spotted silhouette gliding with the slowness of one who never needs to hurry. The whale shark, the largest fish on Earth, is at home here in the Gulf of California. Every winter, these giant filter feeders arrive. Despite their size, they can reach over 12 meters and weigh 20 tons. They pose no danger, gentle, almost mystical, travelers of plankton, shepherds of the ocean. The whale shark is not a whale. It is not a predator in the classic sense. Cartilaginous like shark, yet with a soul closer to a manta. It filters plankton, eggs, larvae, and small fish, swimming with its mouth open, sipping the sea. It does this in the calm, warm waters of the Gulf, where upwellings bring nutrients, the sun feeds the plankton, and the Gulf in closed shape concentrates life. Here, the whale shark is not a visitor, it is a regular, a symbol of the ecosystem health, yet it remains a mystery. Where do they come from? Where do they go? Why do some stay for weeks, others for days? Where are they born? Where do females give birth? Questions with no answers. What is known? This population is mostly juveniles, especially in La Paz Bay. They swim slowly over shallow sandbanks, dorsal fins breaking the surface. Here they grow, feed, and for a few weeks allow humans to witness them. Approaching a whale shark is approaching another time, an archaic time before motors, before plastic, before nets, spotted skin, like the night sky for the first navigator. It has small, shy eyes scanning without judgment, a mouth capable of swallowing thousands of liters per hour, opening with the serenity of one who has everything it needs in the ocean. But size does not equal invincibility. Whale sharks are endangered, threatened by boats, pollution, bycatch, and climate change. Slow, trusting, visible, gentle giants in a harsh modern world. Every encounter here is a gift, a warning, a promise, a reminder that the sea, when respected, offers wonders found nowhere else, and a warning that if we fail to protect feeding zones, estuaries, and calm bays, we could lose them forever. But they are still here, swimming slowly, trusting, letting the sun play across their skin like moving constellations, and as long as the Gulf welcomes them, there is hope. In front of Cerralbo Island, a mountainous spine stretching south, there is a point on the map, a rock, barely an islet, whitened by guano, battered by salt. La Reina, they call it, a simple name, but beneath the surface it carries full weight. Because in these restless waters, one of the planet's most majestic spectacles unfolds, silent, unannounced, like an ancient ritual, among plankton-rich currents and columns of water rising from the abyss, they appear, giant Pacific mantas, the true queens of the sea. Here they need no other title. They arrive alone, immense, like black sails, gliding through the deep, circling the islet as if orbiting a heart of stone. They come to clean, to renew. La Reina is an underwater cleaning station, a sanctuary where small fish remove parasites, heal their skin. The ritual lasts minutes or hours, and during that time the manta hovers, open to the sea, surrendering to something greater than itself. Seeing them close is entering another state. Over a toning weight, yet gentle, it glides, it surrenders. When it turns above you, its lateral eyes like mirrors pierces your soul. Every diver feels small, every human holds their breath. Because this is more than biology, it is a ceremony. Mantas have no teeth, no stinger. They are fertile feeders, eating plankton like whales. But unlike whales, they move with wings, submerged seabirds. And here, in the waters of Baja California Sur, they find one of the few places on Earth to live this moment of purification in peace. Then you understand. This is called La Reina, yes, but it's not for its shape, for what it happens. It is for what happens around it. In that invisible crossing of currents and memory, the true kings arrive, circle, breathe, and vanish. And if you are there, fortunate enough to witness them rise with every beat of their liquid wings, you will understand the sea has monarchs, no throne, no crown, only presence. In the eastern desert of Baja California Sur, where the Sierra de la Laguna crumbles toward the sea, there is a place where the ocean decided to resist. This is Cabo Pulmo. From land, it looks like a modest village. No chain hotel, no sprawling docks, no noise, but beneath its waters, another history unfolds. A living coral reef, the oldest and best preserved in the Gulf of California. 3 decades ago, Cabo Pulmo was silent, a heavy, empty silence. Intensive fishing had decimated the waters here. Reefs were smoother in algae. Snappers and grouper were memories. The sea felt tired, empty. Then something extraordinary happened. The community decided to stop fishing, to stop taking, and to trust, like somebody watering a seed in the desert, that life will return if given time. That decision changed everything. In 1995, Cabo Pulmo became a marine national park, and then it became one of the most remarkable conservation histories on the planet, a history of redemption written in the deep blue. Beneath the waves, stony coral reefs, over 25,000 years old, shelter hundreds of species. Jacks move in dense schools that darken the water, spinning in perfect synchronized spirals as if the ocean itself is alive. To dive among them is to float inside a giant liquid creature. In the depths, bull shark patrols, majestic predators of this ecosystem, calm, powerful, up to 3 meters long. They approach with curiosity, not aggression. Their presence is proof that the food chain here is intact. Where large sharks thrive, the ecosystem thrives. Among the corals and canyons dwell monumental groupers, snappers, and jacks, all patient fish that have lived decades on the same reef. They don't flee, they watch. They remain because here fishing has stopped. Here protection rules. Even the corals, slow and ancient, flourish with strength. Cabo Pulmo is the only significant coral reefs on the eastern North Pacific, a miracle of survival, isolated and resilient. Here, sharks swim near the shore. Juvenile bull sharks and blacktip glide calmly, just meters from the sand, as if aware of their safety. They do not flee, they do not attack, they simply exist, as if they were meant to be free. This is the result of decades of conservation and a community that has built absolute respect around its reef. Seeing sharks near the shore is not dangerous, it is a sign of health. It is the sea telling us, I'm still in charge here. And the true wonder of Cabo Pulmo is not what it has, but what it proves. When extraction stops, the sea regenerates. Life needs little more than space, time, and respect. One small community can change the fate of an entire ecosystem. Conservation is not a dream, it is a decision. Today, Cabo Pulmo is witnessing a miracle. Every fish, every coral, every shadow drifting in the current is evidence of what happens when humans stop being predators and become guardians. Cabo Pulmo stands at the triumph of patience over urgency, the return of balance, the beating heart of a Gulf that, despite everything, still holds corners where life writes itself in abundance. Beneath the calm surface of the Gulf of California, among reefs, islands, and currents, metallic shapes lie where history forgot to watch. They are sunken ships, but the sea has claimed them. They are not ruins, they are sanctuaries, steel temples where life found shelter in the wreckage, and where Baja California Sur has hidden some of the ocean's most remarkable underwater worlds. One of the most impressive is El Vencedor, a tuna fishing boat resting off Cabo Pulmo. Its sinking might have been a tragedy, but what came after was a revelation. Today, bull sharks patrol its corroded remains, slow and deliberate, as if they were the new captain of the ship. Schools of snappers weave around its structure, which provides shade, protection, and above all, peace. No fishing, no disturbance, only silence, punctuated by the whispers of life reclaiming what was once human. On the San Lorenzo Channel, the ferry Salvatierra, a metallic giant sunk in 1976 after colliding with a reef, lies on the seabed like a submerged cathedral. Open holds are refuges for multiple species. Currents flow without violence. Divers can explore it as if entering a cathedral of steel, salt, and coral. The Spangmin, seized in 1995 for illegal people trafficking, was cleaned and placed on the sea for ecological purposes. Corals clung immediately to its hull, algae carpet its edge, and today it is a sanctuary for turtles, who rest on its decks and split into its nooks as though they had always known it. The Lapas oak tree, smaller but not less significant, became a refuge for juvenile fish, moray eel, shrimp, and countless microhabitats that would never exist on the sandy seabed. Life embraced it, transforming it into a biodiversity capsule that no natural reef could have produced so quickly. The C-59, a former World War II minesweeper, rests about 20 meters deep. Its wide corridors open spaces, and imposing profile make it one of the region's most visited wrecks. It is a silent monument, a reminder that even structures built for war can be reborn as sanctuaries for life when placed in the right waters. These ships are not debris. They are witnesses to transformation. Where once was traffic, neglect, or accident, there is now shelter, regeneration, and beauty. Every rusted bolt anchors polyps. Every empty hole becomes a cave for the large. Every metallic shadow hosts life reborn. Shipwrecks are not just history, they are new life. Diving them is like entering a museum of steel and salt, where time dissolves in water and silence is filled with fins, scales, and eyes that don't forget. Some call it the Gulf of California, others the Sea of Cortez, and a few rescuing the old, almost forgotten name, Mar Bermejo. All point to the same body of water, a liquid corridor separating the Baja California peninsula from the rest of Mexico. But none of these names are innocent. Each carries the weight of a foreign gaze, the desire to possess what it's seeing. This sea has been named many times, but never by those who first lived with it. The term California wasn't born here, not in the mind of any real navigator, but in fiction. It first appears in the 15th century chivalric novel Las Sergas de Esplandian, written by Garci Rodriguez de Montalvo. There, a fabulous island called California is inhabited by warrior women who live without men in a paradise of gold, very near the earthly paradise, the novel says, a mythical, wild, and exotic land. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in these coasts, they believed they had found that imagined place, and so California was born, a literary myth turned into geography by mistake. Years after the conquest of Tenochtitlan, Hernán Cortés, obsessed with new territories and trade routes, financed expeditions northwest. In 1535, he arrived at what is now La Paz, then called Bahía de Santa Cruz. He claimed the land for Spain and attempted to found a colony, which quickly failed. In 1539, he sent Francisco de Ulloa to explore what was believed to be an island. Ulloa sailed north and discovered a peninsula. On his return, he called these waters the Sea of Cortez in honor of his patron, and also Mar Bermejo for the reddish tint of the water at sunset. Later, official maps consolidated it as the Gulf of California. These three names, Gulf of California, Sea of Cortez, Mar Bermejo, share a single origin, the Spanish pen. They are labels imposed from outside, reflecting interest, power, and reference points. Not one comes from the native language of the peninsula, not because the indigenous people had no relationship with the sea, the opposite, but because their understanding was profoundly different. They did not separate sea from land, nor conceive it as a singular entity requiring a name. They named place, an island, a beach, a tree, an animal. The sea was a presence, an entity, and therefore need no abstract label. What was territory to the European was environment to them. What was possession to the conqueror was a relationship to them. If you ask me, with all I have seen and read, I choose Mar Bermejo because it's the least tainted by glory or power, because it is descriptive, natural, evocative. It does not claim dominion, only admiration. It observes rather than impose. It was not born on a desk or in the ambition of an empire, but in the contemplation of a sea at sunset, when the sky bleeds over the water and the world is tinged with copper. That sea, red as the day dies, as they saw it, as I have seen it, and as many will see it, a sea that does not need maps or empires to exist, that will continue to be, breathing, shining, until humans will be nothing more than a memory, dissolved on the millennial scars of this planet. Okay, well, the Gulf has revealed its secrets, but the adventure isn't over. Beyond these waters, the desert and the mountain rises. La Sierra de la Giganta calls, from Las Positas to San Evaristo, then San Juan de la Costa, all the way to La Paz. This land part is every bit as wild, every bit as untamed. Click now on this video I'm leaving for you. The journey continues and you don't want to miss a single turn. Thank you for watching.